Let's get ready to rumble!
Entrepreneur Weekly, presented by Vero Concepts.
Well, I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you, I make you laugh.
Our focus is on entrepreneurs and business owners. Look, nobody else is going to tell me what I'm worth.
I don't know what we're yelling about!
Yeah, overnight success generally takes 10 years of failure.
Loud noises!
No, I don't love money. I love making money.
Show me the money!
With special guests and audience call-ins.
Trailing off, and did I catch a niner in there? Were you calling from a walkie-talkie?
That's right, we bad. That's right.
My master made me this collar. He is a good and smart master, and he made me this collar so that I may talk. Squirrel!
Squirrel.
Oh, man. Yeah, I like to compile a little bit of those things. Welcome to Entrepreneur Weekly. My name is Keith Boisvert from Vero Concepts, and I'm here once again with my partner in crime, Vince Runza. Good evening. Hey. So, obviously, the topic this week is what I like to call BAD, business attention deficit disorder. And it is a thing. It may not be clinical, but it is a thing. And I'm not only a member, but I'm also the president. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, how many times this is really prevalent in certain industries. I could probably think of three right off the top of my head. Internet marketing being the worst one that you could possibly have this problem with. But it's funny. The best well-laid plans are easily derailed by something so simple as another opportunity, or the more you read, because I highly encourage learning more about your business, learning more about other people's businesses, just business in general, practices, things that work, things that don't work. And as you do that, you do stumble across other opportunities or other things that are bright and shiny and have the squirrel hashtag that you look at and you say, oh, well, that would be a good idea. Or why don't I do that? Or why can't I add that? And I know I'm guilty of it, probably just as bad, if not worse, than a lot of people, or I used to be. I've been a lot more focused over the last 5-6 years. But when I first started out, I don't know about you, but I was all over the place.
Well, I was suffering from information overload for like the first 6 months of looking into internet marketing. And I thought, maybe I should go here, maybe I should go there. And I was very fortunate. Someone took a look at my writing, someone who knew about writing, who was a published author, who had ghostwritten a book for HarperCollins, and said, you can write. You should consider writing content for other internet marketers who know technology, but they don't know how to write good, user-friendly, palatable content, whether it's articles or emails or whatever. And so I got focused really quickly, and I just stuck to it because I realized if I was going to go off and try and chase down every little thing, whether it's article marketing or affiliate marketing or this or that or the other thing, or software as a service, I was going to be lost in the weeds, because I would constantly be overwhelmed, inundated with a whole bunch of new stuff that I had to learn, with a whole bunch of new stuff that I had to master, and most importantly of all, had very few people who could guide me through this thing. Whereas the writing thing, that came naturally. It's something I've done well all my life. And it dawned on me, this is the way to go. You don't have to agonize over do I have to check the forums? Do I have to check, my stats? Do I have to? No, I just sit down and I write, boom, it's done. I get paid. But as far as this business attention deficit disorder, Keith and I both know from painful experience that you're going to have a problem with somebody within the first 5 minutes of talking to them, because they're going to be, while you're sitting there trying to talk to them about a specific subject, they're going to be multitasking. They're going to be checking their email and looking at a document and printing something out and doing this and doing that. And meanwhile, you're trying to say, hello, were you here just a moment ago when I said to you, you're fucking up?
Yeah, they don't, and again, it's prevalent. It's kind of a natural order that happens when you own a business, and multitasking to a point is okay. You can't just be focused on one thing. Hey, the store's on fire. I don't care. I'm doing my accounting. Leave me alone. You have to multitask to a degree. The problem is, for example, when I had the speed shop, we sold aftermarket hot rod and muscle performance parts. Um, we got into doing things that nobody else did locally. We would sell, you could build a complete hot rod with us, frames and motors, and you name it, we sold it. And this was around the time, maybe a little bit before, just after, I don't know the timing of when stuff came out. But we started getting everybody and their brother coming in asking, if we have the little fart cans for the import cars because Fast and Furious could come out. And you know, and my father, who was my business partner, was like, "Yeah, we gotta sell that. We gotta sell those things because people are coming in looking for those." And I'm like, "But that's not what we are. We're a hot rod and muscle car shop. And if anybody's into vehicles, yeah, everybody, it's a kindred spirit. Everybody loves performance. But trust me, the import people and the muscle car hot rod people are two totally different crowds, and they don't mix well. And it wasn't our business. Oh yeah, but we got to do it. We got to do. So now he goes and buys all these, import performance parts and starts stocking the shop. And then guys started coming in for trucks. I need a truck bed. I need a liner. I need this. I need some, rain gutters, and just all this stupid shit for trucks. Great market, very very expensive market. People love spending the money, but it wasn't our focus. Next thing you know, we're everything to everybody. So just because there was a short term profit to be made from the people that were coming in, it's like we just abandoned our core. And it was very detrimental to the business for a long time until, you know, the realization came, it's like, hey, we try to start stocking this stuff in store because people want to be able to buy it. Now I'm tying up money in inventory. I'm tying up money in time and focus and marketing. It just wasn't working because we went with the next brightest, shiniest thing, and we just threw caution to the wind and abandoned our goals and our target audience and what the whole mission of the business was.
And that's so detrimental to people who think, well, I want to make everybody my customer. Well, if everybody's your customer, then nobody's your customer because you've spent there's a concept in retail called open to buy, which means you have a certain amount of inventory that you're supposed to have. And when it sells down to a certain part, you're now open to buy to restock all that inventory, right?
Yep.
Well, if you're selling, like what Keith was doing, if you have a certain inventory of stuff and now all of a sudden you're going out and you're buying import parts and truck beds and all this other stuff, you just wiped out your open to buy. You can't buy the stock that you need for your core business. And again, this is one of those things where, okay, you see, boy, that'd be a great profit opportunity. Yes, for somebody who's in that business, but you're not in that business. And don't be distracted by, it looks like I can make a killing with this. True, there are people out there who've got a lot of money, they've got a broad business base, and they specialize in targeting, trends, fads, the latest thing that's just a moment ago, not 5 minutes ago, but a moment ago. And they'll go out and they'll be able to say, okay, I can buy up all this inventory real cheap, and we can stock it. And even if we don't sell it for 10 years, we can write it off or, whatever. They are positioned to take advantage of that kind of thing. And if that's not your kind of business, don't you be doing that.
Exactly.
Don't get distracted.
Right. There was another guy one town over that did that. He sold, his primary business. It was speed performance, but it was mainly he did a killer truck and import business, and he was known for it, and people went there. We were getting the stragglers, the people that didn't want to deal with them, or people that didn't want to drive a town over, or for whatever reason they would come into our place. And it got to the point where we found out his business was for sale. And so then at that point, it's like, okay, that makes sense. keep their branding, keep his, eventually we can, change the name, but let's keep everything the same. Let's buy that business, keep that truck and import, keep our speed and performance. It wasn't that hard. It's just at the time what he was unwilling to even budge on price. And then it was a shame. His business caught fire. I don't know if it was a coincidence or what, but anyways, his business caught fire and he never reopened. But that would have been a better strategy. Instead of trying to morph it into ours, buy it and keep it separate. If the money, because it was a very profitable endeavor, if you were going to go into it, full head on, there was a lot of money. He was doing very, very well. He was actually doing better than us. But it wasn't something that we could have mixed in, but keeping it separate, that's something different. But you see it, unfortunately, in every business. You walk into some places, smaller retail shops, and it's freaking all over the place. It's like, what you sell bunnies and you sell printers and you sell, what is it that you do? You lose your identity, chasing the next, golden ticket.
I know, and I got a little business just up the street. The guy sells new and used musical equipment, and he does Western Union, and he's got a money machine, an ATM, and he teaches lessons, and he does this, and he does that. And I've watched the foot traffic in there. I have no idea how he stays in business. No idea at all. For all I know, it's a front to launder money, because he's not staying in business because he A, has a brand, or B, has a focus. Instead, he's, any little opportunity he can find to make a couple extra bucks. I wouldn't be surprised if he did start selling stuffed animals and, all this other stuff.
Do you think it's out of desperation?
I think it is out of a lack of focus. There are some people who get into entrepreneurship because they don't fit in well working for other people, because they can't pay attention for very long. So what they do is they do get their hands on a little bit of money, and they'll start a business, and what they're doing is they're flaky. They're so busy looking ahead, they're not looking at where they are. I mean, I went in there to buy some guitar strings, and I put one of the strings on the guitar, and after about a day or two, the string, all on its own, I wasn't even playing the guitar, it broke. So I went back, I said, one of these strings broke. He says, oh, just look through those strings there, maybe you'll find a replacement. He didn't even remember what kind of string I was talking about. He didn't really care.
Right.
He wasn't focused on what was right in front of him. He was busy thinking about something else, If you cannot focus, if you can't look at your customer user or client user experience, if you can't focus on what is your core business, if you can't stay focused on those things for more than 30 seconds, you probably aren't an entrepreneur.
No, I agree. I mean, but I still think, to a degree, it is desperation. It was a poor planning, not really knowing what they're getting themselves into. Thought they had the right idea, but maybe they're not implementing it correctly, and they're not getting the foot traffic, or they're not getting the web views, or whatever business that they're in. They're not getting the results that they want. So instead, they change and they shift gears and say, well, let's do this as well, because I see Joe Blow up the street does that and he has good foot traffic.
Well, this particular example that I mentioned, this music store, this guy's been in business for a long time. So I know he's got a certain faithful following, because I don't know if you're familiar with musicians, but they buy and sell equipment all the time, and when when things are bad, they sell their guitar, and then they're back 3 months or 6 months later to buy it back at a loss.
Right.
Because, again, they're not managing their business as a business, and too many people are treating a hobby, they're treating their music like it's a hobby, or it actually is a hobby, but they haven't got a lot of money. And so I'm thinking that this guy, no question, he has no plan, he has no vision, other than he's in the business of being in this business. and, buying and selling the musical equipment. And he threw these other things in, maybe I'll get a little extra revenue from this or a little extra revenue from that. But I'm always thinking about the next thing and not thinking about where he is right now.
Right. So what happens is you start getting, 50% of your or 80% of your business is from, in this case, used equipment. And then the rest of the other 20% is rolled up between all the different other things that he's selling out of there. But what's going to happen, I think he's going to find that is 80% is going to go to 70%, 60%, and 50%. And that the total dollar value of the full percentage is going to start shrinking. And it's just going to wither away. And if it hasn't already, it's just a matter of time, because you're not going back to what it is that your core competency, which was obviously for him, used equipment, because there's certainly not a lacking in that department for people looking to buy and sell music equipment.
Oh, sure. And that's the point. He could continue doing what he's doing indefinitely, but he again, and this is something that we've spoken about before, is he's got a business that owns him. He doesn't own this business. He has to spend all his time there. He probably has to spend a lot of time alone, and he can never get out from underneath this business, because I would feel sorry for him if he suddenly made the decision he wanted to sell it off, because what's he going to sell? He's got an inventory of some used equipment and some other stuff. And I think, I don't know whether he also offers music lessons, but I don't know if he's teaching the lessons himself or whether he's got other people, doing that part of it. But he's basically stuck with this huge white elephant of a business that is not going anywhere. There's no way he's going to build it up to a point where he's going to franchise it out or open another location, because he doesn't have the wherewithal, I mean, in his mind, to be able to treat this like a business and to handle it like a business. And
you made a good point, too, about, if he was going to sell it, what do you have? You have nothing. You have used equipment. About 7 or 8 years ago, I went to work for a company, and they had purchased a packaging company and integrated it into their molding facility. They molded combs, and thought it would be a good supplement business. And it did well, but he was looking to sell it. And because it was taking up space and his manufacturing was growing, and he's like, you know what, this, although it does well, I need to sell it. So I came on board, and I was going to buy it. And in exchange, I was getting paid to actually manage the business and run the business, because he didn't really, it wasn't his focus. It was something that was just a side thing. It's like, hey, I think it'll be great. And, it was this squirrel moment. So there was no paperwork. There was nothing at all that, even if I wasn't going to buy it, if somebody else was going to buy it, there was nothing for them to look at except for to walk through and say, okay, we got people working and they're packaging. It was actually paper products. That's all you have. So I started running, and I started documenting everything and procedures and income, and set up a QuickBooks account. Actually, it was Peachtree at the time, and going through and after about 6 months, I had a good system going, and I was getting paid to do it too. And I went to the bank. I put together a business plan. I spent a month on a business plan. Plus, I was working in the business. I was running it as if I owned it. So, I knew everything that I needed to know. I put it into my business plan. I went to the bank, and the guy looks at me. He goes, "Are you on crack?" This is the banker, right? And I'm like, "Well, not right now." I was earlier, and I said, "No, I'm not. Why?" He goes, "You want to?" I think it was $200,000. Okay, and the company did $750 a year, right? And this guy wanted $200,000. So I figured, well, this is a no-brainer, And the banker laughed at me. He goes, "What do you have?" I'm like, "Well, the company makes $750,000 a year. I'll be able to pay you back in a year." Because with what? He goes, "You're not buying anything. They have no accounts. You have customers that come in and they give you stuff on a regular basis, but you don't have a contract with any of them. You have a bunch of packaging equipment, heat shrink machines and scales and all the stuff that goes into packaging. He goes, what do you think the value of that's worth? I said, well, according to my thing, it was worth, $45,000. He goes, okay. And he goes, and you have employees? I go, yeah. He goes, so really, you're telling me for $45,000, you could go out and start another packaging company and take away all these customers by offering a better deal? Like, yeah. He goes, so why don't you do that? He goes, I'm not going to give you money to. So in other words, the short aspect of this is there really was of no value. There was no contracts. Somebody built this business, but there really wasn't anything to sell. And that's a lot of times is that, when you go, we've talked about this before on, having an exit plan. There was no exit plan. There was no strategy. And it was a good lesson for me to learn as well. But there was nothing of value. And a lot of companies, even mainly service-based companies, there's no exit plan. What are you going to do? You don't have contracts. You have regular customers. A bank ain't going to help another person buy your regular customers. And so that AD or BADD, it just rolls into something, and then they give up and go to sell, and then they realize I can't even sell my business, and then they lose all the money and the time that they've invested, and that's where that disorder really comes into play and pretty much slaps you in the face on its way out the door, and it's discouraging.
Our message to you today is understand value. What looks valuable to you is just a feature. A true value is a benefit. And we talked about the difference between features and benefits. When you go to a banker, you're going to find out what value is real quick, because they're going to be able to target what specifically is of value there. And if you're going to build a business on shifting sands, I think about some of my experiences. I used to sell stuff at flea markets, one time I went to a flea market in Manhattan with some cheap jewelry that I got from a wholesaler. And the guy who ran the flea market saw what I did the whole day. He came over and said, you want to know what the problem was? Your merchandise. He said, don't even bother to come back unless you get a whole new line of merchandise that people want to buy. When I was doing this, I was a young person. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. But I didn't understand. I thought I understood what value was. I had no idea. And if you're going to start a business and you don't know what the value is to your business, or if you've got a business up and running and you don't understand what your value is, then you need a grown-up to come in and explain the facts of life to you, okay? Because if all you're doing is looking for the next bright shiny object, I'll get a new thing over here, or I'll buy a pallet of wiper blades, or don't do that. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money on chasing after bright shiny objects. Find out what's of value and invest in it. And invest means sacrifice something up front to get a return later.
Yeah, because you got to think about too. I mean, the time and the energy you're spending on chasing something else, you're taking away from your core competency. And if your core competency needs that much help that it's beyond repair, then you need to completely rethink your business and either rebrand or, completely change. Don't keep doing what doesn't work, obviously, but you can't do everything and be, like you said earlier, you can't be everything to everybody, because then essentially you're nothing to nobody. And, unfortunately, I personally think the lack of planning, let's face it, business owners get desperate. You're in it every day. You're wondering when your next paycheck's going to come from. Can I afford payroll? Do I have enough cash flow to cover payroll or my expenses so I can buy this, this product? It's a never-ending battle, and it's a fun battle, or if you let it. But at the same time, if you're not careful, it's going to get away from you. And what ends up happening is people just give up. and say, okay, well, that doesn't work. Let me try this. Oh, that doesn't work. Let me try this. And it just becomes so discouraging that you're almost in desperation mode from day one, that you realize what you're doing isn't working. And I think some people give up too soon.
Yep. And I remembered seeing this online. I just found the quote again from Malcolm Forbes. The biggest mistake people make in life is not trying to make a living at doing what they most enjoy. If you're off chasing bright shiny objects and you're trying to get, and just look, oh, I'm gonna find the next hula hoop, or I'm gonna find the next pet rock. No, do something you enjoy doing, because you're going to be doing it a long time if you did it right. And when it comes time to sell it off, it'll be profitable, because since you enjoy what it is that you're doing, and you do the kind of planning and other stuff that we talk about, it will have value. It will have definite value, because this will be a labor of love, and all this other stuff, rather than just a labor of, where am I going to get the next buck?
Yeah, people get desperate. And to your point, if you're doing what you enjoy doing, a lot of times things come from that. I'm into compound bows and target shooting, and I know of a company that they started selling. They liked it. That's what they enjoyed. So he started a company selling different products, not the bows themselves, but complementary products for the bows. And he was so into it, and he spent so much time. He ended up developing, because he did it every day, finding, listening to customers. Oh, I wish this site could do this, because sites are a big industry just within the compound bow market. And he enjoyed it so much, and he heard so many complaints about things. He ended up, just out of his, enjoyment for what he does, and being a smart person and listening, he developed a different site. And it's a multi-million-dollar business now. He doesn't even, that's all he sells is sites. And it's his own sites. It's patented. It's his own product. So he took something he enjoyed, and he turned that. We know he was doing it. He was making, I'm assuming he was doing well with his, selling everything bow related, or, but he took that and he turned it into something even better, because he was able to focus on what he enjoyed doing.
And for this person, it wasn't just a bright shiny object, right?
No, it was
this
a mission.
Yeah, there you go. See, because when you're putting all your energy into something in the right way, according to a plan, based on doing what you enjoy, based on motivation and all this other stuff, you feel the difference. There's no longer this desperation that you have, am I going to make payroll this month? Or the competition is good. I want to tell you something about competition. Competition's great.
Mm-hmm.
Competition is wonderful, because it makes you tighten your focus on what it is that you're doing. Because if you got, I don't know, if you got a generic type of business, then, and you've got a lot of competition in your area, this is your opportunity to shine. This is your opportunity to come up with a mission statement to say, I'm going to be the best in the world in my particular area, in my particular business, in delivering this benefit. And you pick one benefit that's more important than all the others, the one that's going to get people to walk past your competition, even though they may have a cheaper price, and come and patronize your business, because they love and respect you, because you're focused on the benefit, not just the feature.
I agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, people tend to, they abandon their goals. They abandon that benefit, and there's a lot of businesses that have gone out of business that were just brilliant business owners, and brilliant. It was a brilliant idea, and you see them close up, and you're like, what happened? Where did they go? This exact reason. They just abandon what they their benefit that they think is the best, and they start changing their plan out of desperation. They do look for the next shiny thing, because desperation causes you to do that. Trust me. And like you said, being the best at that one thing. I don't care. I was just reading on Facebook today. In my town, there's a new strip mall. There's replaced a seafood place, and it's just another strip mall. I think there's 5 locations within the strip mall, and right now only 2 is full because it just opened. A pizza place and a nail salon. Somebody's saying, Jesus Christ, another nail salon? How many nail salons can we possibly have in town? And granted, yeah, there's probably 30.
Well, wait a minute, Keith. You're saying that speaking as a man. You have no idea how passionate women are about this.
Well,
stuff.
No, that's my point. Is obviously there's a need. Obviously. Now, are they all 30 or 40? I don't even know how many there are now. I'm guessing at 30 or 40 just in my town alone. But I think we got 65,000 people that live here. I mean, how many can you possibly? It'll be survival of the fittest. At some point, yes, everybody's split up and everybody's getting a little piece of the puzzle. But at some point, one of these salons, or 2 of these salons, or 10 of these salons, some of them are already established, and we'll have that. There is no threat. There is no competition. However, like you said, competition is good. For all we know, this one that just opened up last week, they've got a plan. They're going to come in and they're going to do wonders and shit cucumbers, as my grandmother used to say. And, they're going to put this whole market on notice, and they're going to have to all step up their game. Growing up in internet marketing, they always said, oh, don't go for the big niche. Don't go for, bodybuilding or weight loss or dating or any of those super huge niches, because it's overcrowded and there's too much competition. And I never understood that. I'm like, that's where I want to go. Will I succeed? I hope so. But you know what? I'm going to learn a hell of a lot on the way. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be a smarter business person. And I'm going to learn a hell of a lot more than if I just go after, what to do with belly button lint after you've picked it as a niche, So,
yeah, right. An all-natural cure to toenail fungus. That's where I'm going to make my millions. No.
I'm going to get all 10 customers. Woo!
All right. For those of you that are listening today who aren't familiar with the internet marketing niche, there is a place where you can buy info products. It's called Clickbank. And Clickbank offers you information on the product, including what's known as gravity. And gravity simply means how many affiliates are there? If there are lots and lots of affiliates out there selling this product, that has a high gravity. And some nincompoop commented on Clickbank and saying, oh, don't go after the ones that have a high gravity. There's too much competition. I was like, no, that's where the money is. The reason that these products have a high gravity is they're selling a lot of them through a lot of different venues. And believe me, there's always room for a new venue if, A, you've got a plan, you got a mission, you got, all this other stuff. What really makes the difference is knowing yourself, knowing what your weaknesses are, and compensating for them. But most importantly of all, doing what you enjoy, okay? Which is one of the reasons I did not get into affiliate marketing, because I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the idea of having to build MFAs, made for AdSense websites or web pages that are designed to just get you income from advertising or income from selling somebody else's product. Because I tried it and I tried it and I tried it and I didn't get it. And most importantly of all, I didn't profit from it.
Yeah, I always had a hard time with, spending money to build somebody else's business for my gain for a piece of the pie. I never understood it. I get it. And I know people that make millions of dollars a year doing it. They have, 800 websites for Amazon products, for example. Hey, and they spend, $10,000, $15,000 a month on Google AdWords or, Facebook ads just to drive traffic to make $20,000. It's $5,000 profit. Hey, everybody has their own thing. Not my thing, but, more power to them. But,
right. And that is the point. they enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
They like the activity. You know, it clicks with their mind, with their emotions, with their mentality. Not so much Keith and myself. We got a different focus, and the most important focus for you, the listener, is what you enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, I can't stress that enough. If you're in something you don't enjoy now, and I've said this before, either I don't know if I said it on the show or not, but you know, you could enjoy making money, and if your mind is wired a certain way, and you just enjoy making money, you don't care what you're doing and how you do it, then some of this won't matter to you. You'll put 100% in, whether you're a roofer or an electrician, you're cutting hair, or you're serving tacos out of a truck on the corner. Whatever you just enjoy making money, then it's the thrill of the chase. And some of this won't apply to you, but for the most part, you know, enjoying what you do, not passionate about, what you enjoy. If you can focus in on that, and you're in that, and you own a salon and you just enjoy everything nail related, and you get up in the morning and you're looking on YouTube or in the news or anything that's salon and hair and product related that has anything to do with that, and you eat, sleep, breathe it, even if you weren't in business, you're going to succeed.
Yep. Yep, because do keep in mind, there's an ancient Jewish curse that says, may you make a lot of money and spend it all on doctor bills. Yeah. Don't just go out there to make money. Get out there and do something you're going to enjoy doing day to day. Because if you don't, you might as well go work for somebody else and do something you don't enjoy doing, but you'll get money.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people too, they get frustrated. They work a full-time job and they're tired of seeing their, and most people do work for small businesses, and they see their boss, they think they're getting rich and all this stuff. So they say, I'm tired of working for my boss. I'm going to go start my own business. Then they realize how much of a godsend their job was, and how much effort and pain went into the boss's, day that they didn't see. It's kind of like kids, when I'm an adult and I have kids, I'm never going to do that. My kids will be fine. Yeah, wait till you get older and have kids of your own. You'll see. But it's the same philosophy, and unfortunately, they get into something that maybe they know, but they don't enjoy. Yeah. And I think that's detrimental right from the get-go. But so anyways, business attention deficit disorder. Knowing you have it is the first step.
Admitting you have a problem.
Yeah. But it's not something that's incurable. All it takes is understanding that you have it, and be aware when you're starting to have those squirrel moments, and rein yourself back in. Or I've got friends that do that for me. Hey, Keith, you start to have those squirrel moments. You're getting off on a tangent, and Vince, you've done it to me 100 times. It's tough. It's very easy to get distracted, especially nowadays. So if you can have people hold you accountable and, rein you back in. I do work with an electrician, and that's something I enjoy doing. And he does the same thing. He'll start going off on a tangent and say, well, we should start offering this. And you know what? Let's kind of rein it back. Let's get this and this taken care of first. And when we got this shit under control, then you can worry about this. Yeah, you're right. So, having somebody there to help you and point it out to you certainly will make a difference.
I was very fortunate. I had the opportunity to work with two very successful people. One was the chairman of the board of a major publisher in New York City. And this guy loved what he was doing. He just loved what he was doing. And his entire focus, his life was kind of on autopilot, okay? He didn't really have to stop and think through any of the steps that he was doing. He just did it. It just oozed out of him, and he was a force to be reckoned with. The other this was a family. They owned a commercial office building in New York City, and this was old money. That business kind of ran itself on autopilot, and the money was guaranteed to come in as long as the building didn't burn down, right? And each of the members of this family was off doing their own avocational pursuits. I mean, they were real business things. Well, the matriarch of the family, her big thing was having, foundations and things like that. And one of the sons made films for PBS, and one of the daughters dabbled in real estate, just playing around with it, just doing deals because she liked doing deals. But the whole point of this was an established thing that was generating passive income. Well, actually it was active income, but for them it was passive because they had this whole thing down to a system that ran itself. And basically all they had to do was kind of sit at a desk and, kind of push papers around. But the actual running of the business was all taken care of by accountants, by staff and other people. And it was a small staff. It wasn't that many people. And your ideal as a business owner is to either create or take whatever business you have and get it to the point where it's creating guaranteed income. Well, as guaranteed as anything can be in this world. And that you can get this all automated so that the grunt work is being done by people that you pay, and you are free to pursue your avocational pursuits, whether it's creating a legacy or setting up a foundation or creating your own holiday, but most importantly of all, that you're not just constantly running around and desperately saying, where am I going to get the next buck because I got to cover payroll this month?
Right. And one thing leads to another, and next thing you know. But yeah, you bring up some good points, and another topic for another radio show, I have to put it in our notes, will be employees and hiring the right people. And the right person or the wrong person will certainly make a huge difference in your stress factor and your attention and the things that you have to worry about. And if you're not focused on growing your business because you're worrying about what people are doing, you start losing money. You get desperate, you start looking for new avenues, and so on and so forth. So somewhere in there tied together very closely, especially for those who have employees, would be hiring the right person, even if it costs you a little bit extra. I've seen it firsthand, how it can transform a business, and I've done it, and it's transformed a business. And when you're successful, you don't tend to look for those shiny objects in the next big thing unless it's directly related to your business and it fits your goals. You agree?
I agree. 100%.
All right. Well, I think I'll wrap this show up on that. It was a good show, considering we're completely winging it. Just kidding. Just try to pay attention. If you've got what I like to call business attention deficit disorder, just pay attention, be aware of it, have somebody smack you around when you start straying off too far, or at least explain yourself as to why you are. And, that could be a friend, it could be family, it could be somebody within the business community that understands, because God knows if you start straying and you have those squirrel moments and you're looking for the next big thing, you will justify it to all ends of the earth. You need somebody to call you out on it and say, especially in the business world, they'll know when you're lying to them and you're just making up excuses. So, you definitely use family, but try to get somebody off in the business community to run things by, because they'll have a more objective view of your business.
Right. Somebody who's dispassionate, who's not, they're not part of the revenue stream, that they're outside of your particular business, who can look in and go, just from a view from space kind of thing, that's a mistake.
Right.
Look, part of the reason Keith and I can kind of wing these shows is experience. All of it bad, some of it our own, but mostly the bad experience of other people, because that's another important tool you have to have in your toolbox, is learning from the experience of others, not just yourself.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, there are people who have been there and done that. It's, Why reinvent the wheel? And the knowledge and the experience that come from I don't know about you guys out there, but I know here in our area, Massachusetts, we have a section of the Chamber of Commerce called SCORE, and it's escaping me right now what it stands for.
Service Corps of Retired Executives.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I love those guys.
The preparation part of the show would have probably told me that. However,
Yeah.
they're such a wealth of information. Like around here, they help people with business planning. If you want to start doing a business plan and you want to get into business and you don't have a clue what you're doing, you go see these guys. They're going to sit down with you and they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do and how to do it. They'll even tell you if your idea sucks because they've been there and done that. And you need somebody like that around to tell you, when you're straying off course or if something is not a good idea. And when it comes to these attention deficit disorders in business, you need that, and you can't let your ego get in the way. I don't need these old guys telling me what to do. I know, it's like your kids, they know more than you do. It never works out well for them. It's the same thing. So, in closing, if you think you're having those moments, please talk to somebody, get help. I'm not saying that every squirrel moment is a bad idea. Some of the best inventions in the world came from those. However, having somebody tell you, or at least from, like Vince said, from an outside point of view, say, well, that doesn't make sense. And if you can sit there and justify it and make them understand it, then maybe it is a good idea. But if they look at you after you explain it and say, that's going to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard, there's no way, this is going to work, listen to them. Put your ego aside, check it at the door. We're all in business. We all have egos, but we all have to put them aside when it's detrimental to our business.
Yeah. One last quick anecdote. I took a learning annex course in Manhattan, taught by a guy who was in SCORE. And I realized as I went through, I think it was only like 6 weeks or so, but I realized that this guy was a wealth of information in all the things that I did not know about business. That if you have the opportunity to talk with a seasoned professional about your business, about your plan, or about any of this other stuff, take it. Even if you don't think you learned anything from that particular conversation, you might find 6 months or a year later, something that person said to you suddenly clicks in your mind. And you go, oh, now I see what he meant. Yeah.
No, it's great. It's a great opportunity. And on that note, I also want to encourage people to use their local chambers of commerce. There's definitely it's a good way to network and meet new people that might be able to help you, but at the same time, you're supporting local businesses, and they do a lot to help. So kudos to all the Chamber of Commerce members and organizers out there. You guys do great work, and it may seem like it goes unappreciated, but it doesn't. So with that, I'm going to close out the show. I think it was another successful show.
And ran longer than we guessed it would.
Yeah, I was thinking like 10 minutes, we'd be done. Don't do this. Click. No, it was a good show. I always enjoy, I could talk about business 24/7. And I know you could too. So that's why these shows come out so easily, even though the production value may be a little lower than some expected. I think it's a great show. And I'm hoping that, don't be afraid to share this with your friends. And, it's something that, a lot of people could be taken advantage of. At the same time, if you're new to starting businesses, or if you have a business that you're not doing so well, make sure you check out veroconcepts.com. That's VERO concepts.com. Right on the front page, we have a free guide that will help you set your goals, write out your goals, how to evaluate all those. It's a wealth of information. It's free. It does cost you an email address. Sorry. We're going to use that to let you know when our core product's done. And other than that, we really won't be bothering you.
I really don't think you should apologize for that, Keith, because I just looked out the window. You asked for their email address, and it doesn't look like the world as we know it is coming to an end.
No, not there. All right, well, good.
No,
Good,
we're
good.
fine.
It is a little gloomy here, though, so I don't know. But yeah, no, if you guys get a chance, and then check us out on Twitter. The handle's Vero Concepts. Same thing on Facebook. Join in. Feel free to participate in any of the conversations we get going on social media. And I appreciate you guys listening. And Vince, as usual, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
All right, and with that, I am over and out.